Hello, YouTube. You might have heard this story before. It's something that is not concealed, but I wanted to add information that's available in Russia to the extent that I know. Maybe it will get some knowledge expanded for you, but it's a very sad story if you think about it. It's the most mysterious mass disappearance in human history, at least in the recorded history. So what happened in 1937 in Nanjing, China? Well, in 1937, 3,000 soldiers disappeared in the suburbs of Nanjing, China. At that time, there was a war between the countries of China and Japan, so the main hypothesis was about desertion. However, this assumption does not stand up to criticism, and the investigation initiated later by Chairman Mao Zedong found no evidence of mass flight. By December 1937, when one of the most mysterious mass disappearances of people occurred, China had been at war with Japan for several months. The Japanese Imperial Army successfully advanced to Nanjing, China, along the Yangtze River, and generally did not encounter serious resistance. Nevertheless, in the southern suburbs of Nanjing, the Chinese, in the number of about 3,000 people, settled down to protect a strategically important object, the bridge. The soldiers dug trenches and began to wait for the enemy. The very next morning, Chinese General Li Fuxi was awakened by an orderly who reported that communication with the vanguard stationed near the bridge had been lost. The commander was afraid that the Japanese troops had broken through to the bridge and gave the order to prepare for battle, and before that to conduct an immediate reconnaissance on the front line. Fuxi was almost certain that all 2,000 soldiers had been killed or destroyed by the enemy. He thought that the returning scouts would describe to him a terrible picture scene with many corpses. However, as Russian researcher Anatoly Bernatsky wrote in his book 100 Great Mystical Secrets, the intelligence informed Li Fuxi that nothing but empty trenches were found near the bridge. Moreover, the scouts did not find a single piece of evidence indicating that a fierce battle had recently unfolded there. There were no dead bodies, no blood, no destruction. Fuxi found himself at a loss. He did not have a single, more or less intelligible version or explanation of what had happened in the suburbs of Nanjing and where those 3,000 soldiers had disappeared to. A few hours later, the Japanese broke through the Chinese defenses and stormed into Nanjing. And thus, as a result of the storming of the city and the subsequent massacre, which lasted for more than 1 week, according to various sources, from 200 to 300,000 civilians were killed. In addition, as a result of the battles for Nanjing, China lost tanks, artillery, and the navy. Against the background of such monstrous losses, the mysterious disappearance of 3,000 soldiers was forgotten for a long time. Only after the end of World War II, on the orders of Mao Zedong, an investigation was conducted into this mysterious case. However, nothing concrete could be found out. It was only established that none of the disappeared soldiers had ever appeared anywhere else. There was another book, I think written by two Americans. The title, I believe, was The Unexplained. It also mentions that the the fact refutes the account of the Chinese flight from combat positions, which remained the main one. meaning there was no flight. The assumption of desertion, which occurred to many, even many years after the incident, does not stand up to any criticism at all. Firstly, it is hard to believe that all 3,000 servicemen decided to desert at the same time. In addition, the Chinese soldiers had only one way to escape. They had to cross the very bridge on the other side of which the enemy was located. If the Japanese had noticed such a large number of Chinese on the bridge, they would have immediately opened fire on them, which means that the deserters were expected to die. A very unusual case. And what I find, I don't want to say interesting, but unusual is it's the number of the people who had vanished. The only comparable, of course, not on any scale, but the only comparable case you can find in my video titled "The Ghost Trains of Eurasia," and I will try to put a link in the description to this video where I think it was 11 people that had disappeared together with the train, but at a different time, and those people had actually reappeared, but it's a very obscure story. You can see it for yourself. That's what I wanted to let you know today about this very unusual case. And I'll bring you more information about cases of human beings vanishing and sometimes reappearing, and of course the time and space warps and unusual phenomena associated with both. I have a few videos on the subject too. I want to thank you for your attention to my videos, to my work, and if you can support my research, you will find links on how to do it in the description to this video. And please subscribe to my channel. Please like my videos.